Aravius was colder than normal. The earth that encased his dark tomb moaned around him like a mother in mourning for her child. His precious afterlife was waning. The tendrils that once tied him to a conscious existence, as miserable as it may be, were fading out. He knew that few moments remained before he would be gone. The man's withering and blackened body was nothing more than a carcass of his former life, a decaying shell. He laid in the same place his family had placed him years ago, when his true life first left him. Aravius had been his name in life, but they called him the Spider in death. His darkness twisted down the branches of his ancestral tree, like the legs of a black spider. Aravius Marcello had been the second eldest child of Duke Leon Marcello. Their family was a powerful one in the Kingdom of Cartanin. They were a vital ally to the king. Juleston, their ancestral home, sat on the border and was the last safeguard against the unfriendly neighboring kingdom of Zar. The king of Cartanin trusted Duke Leon, but only because it was a necessity. No family in the kingdom truly liked or trusted the Marcellos. Their loyalties often came into question with their close proximity to Zar, and also their precarious obsession with dark magic. Duke Leon denied the accusations of magic use in his family, swearing to his king and fellow noble families that they were baseless rumors spread by his enemies. The Duke knew he was lying. He knew that his own son, in the depths of the Marcello abode, was at that very moment testing and conjuring the darkest of magic. Magic had been outlawed years before the Duke's son was born. Yet Aravius had no fear. He had felt a connection to the dark arts from when he was mere sapling. It had all started as a simple interest, but it blossomed into an obsession. Aravius soon spent hours, days, and even weeks in the dark tunnels of his family abode, so much so that his eyesight began to fade away from the lack of light. The Duke pleaded with his son to stop this madness and cease his obsession with dark magic. Aravius heard his father's concerns and knew they were genuine, but he could not cease. He was too far in now. One day, the Duke ventured into the tunnels once more. He had awoken that early morning suddenly. The imagery of a terrible nightmare haunted him. He was convinced that Aravius must be stopped. The magic could bring disgrace upon their family, if it had not already. What the Duke found was the lifeless body of his son. He had died, pursuing his obsession. The Duke got rid of all of his son's belongings and burned any books or things that pertained to dark magic. It had stolen the life of his beloved son, and now was stealing his peace. The nightmares for the Duke increased in the days following his son's death. The Duke refused to describe them when asked. He said they were too terrible to repeat. A mere 2 weeks after the death of Aravius, the Duke took his own life. The Marcello family had been wrong. Yes, they did bury the lifeless body of their son, but he had not been dead. He had only moved on to a different existence now, a powerful one. He had visited his father every night after his death. After his father was gone, he moved on to his mother, who was driven to madness, then his elder sister, who was scared away, and finally his younger brother, who would describe his nightmares using one word only: spider. 100 years later, and the spider was the tale of wet nurses scaring little children before bed. It was the story left for campfires and dark corner whispers by the curious who dared to mention his true name if they knew it. Some claimed that they had been visited by him and had been given a dark gift. It was true, well, somewhat true. Aravius still visited people in their dreams and nightmares. His intention was to give a dark gift, but he had yet to give it. Aravius used what energy he had left to conjure one more visit, one last message. It needed to be a good one, a lasting one. His twisted black arms jerked down into the earth below him further, digging in to make their way to the surface one more time. There was one that he knew the dark gift should be given. He had picked him years before, and now there was no time to wait any further. His long fingers reached the soft linens of Marcus's bed. He had made it. Aravius took in a deep breath. He knew it would be his last.